Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
So you'll pick me up tonight at 7:45?
Oh, well, no, I got a few things to take care of first, but why don't we make it 7:45?
Stop it.
Okay, 7:45.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and wow, this year has been packing in lessons on earning, saving, and spending better. But what about balance? Today, we'll meet people who saved too much, and we'll help you pump the brakes to find your own happy ending. In our TikTok Minute, how much is all that energy conservation really helping? One comedian, philosopher, has thoughts. And of course, we'll answer a call from a stacker who said, you know what? I'd better call Saul. See hi and OG. And don't you worry, because I'm sure to round out this power hour with some action-packed trivia. And now, 2 guys who always tip their Uber driver with personal finance advice. It's Joe and OG.
I ask you, Doug, which one's better? Maybe a few dollars today, or me teaching you how to grow your dollars better so that dollars and dollars and dollars.
Have you guys noticed that it's getting harder and harder to get Uber drivers to accept your ride requests? Have you spotted that trend since you've tipped in advice?
It is. Just specifically for us. Yeah, why is my rating going down? I never knew I had a rating, by the way, until maybe 6 months ago. And a friend of mine told me, and some jerk gave me a 4. Like, how do you give me? I'm a delight in your backseat.
Well, Joe, maybe showering once in a while could help out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Personal Hygiene Podcast. I'm Joe Saul Sehi. It is Wednesday, which means OG is across the table from me sitting at the microphone. How are you, man?
Okay. Yeah.
You are all fueled up, ready to go. Just gobbled down something. You were hoovering that.
I was hoovering it. It's Oikos Pro. Today's show sponsored by Oikos Pro. Get your 20 grams of protein with 0 grams of added sugar. Oikos Pro for the protein win.
Oikos, if you'd like to sponsor the show. OG's a big fan. What are you waiting for? Of course, we tried to do that with Solo Stove. And what did they do? They went ahead and went with that one guy. I mean, that guy nobody knows, Snoop Dogg.
Doggy Dog.
Why would they do that versus all the love I give to them?
Put a little granola in it. I don't know. You guys put granola in your yogurt? A little honey?
I'm not a big yogurt guy.
Yeah, yogurt's a waste of time. It's 3 spoons max. Like, yogurt is just not much pisses me off more than, like, hell, have a healthy snack.
Welcome to the Insights on How Doug Eats podcast.
All that does is enrage the beast.
You're right. It's not a half a pizza. It's not a Costco pizza. You're right. Apologies, sir.
Yeah. You were talking about on Monday, you know, when you get a little fat.
Right? To get a look at Doug's blood work would be quite amazing. Like, what's my blood work when all I eat is jerky and Costco pizzas?
Right.
What do I get then? I mean, you get a good life, I guess. YOLO, right?
Happiness is what you get.
Happiness, yeah.
Sir, we just ran your blood type. It appears you are meats and marinara. Most people, A negative, A positive, not Doug. He's marinara. Yeah, we got a great show today. We're going to talk about, now that we set the stage so far this year, we're going to talk about, you know, how do you enjoy a little bit of this along the way? And really a cautionary tale here about some people who realize too late they might not have done the right thing, which, you know, we talk about saving money on this show. It's what we're all about. But Is there such thing as too far? These people will tell you that maybe there is. But before that, we have some sponsors who make this show go. No yogurt involved, sadly, this week, as far as I know. But you know what? They do keep the show free, so we're going to hear from them and then into today's headline. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Today's headline comes to us from Business Insider. This is written by Noah Schiedlower. Noah writes, meet the Oversavers, older Americans who have plenty for retirement, but wish they work less and vacation more. That's not a good headline. We don't like to read that. How do we work less and vacation more and still have enough to save? Well, let's dive into that topic to kick off today's Variety Show Wednesday. Joshua Winston, Noah writes, age 70, did a pretty good job preparing for retirement. He ran 2 successful veterinary clinics, made smart investments, and lived frugally. But a week after he retired in May, he was diagnosed with cancer. Now, Winston said he regrets working such long hours during his career, often missing out on trips and date nights. Winston is one of a few dozen respondents to an informal Business Insider survey who said they worked too hard during their careers or focused too much on saving for retirement, sacrificing family time, travel, or other leisure activities when they were younger. All right, let's set this up. Let's frame this correctly, OG, because on Monday, I talked about the fact that there can be such a thing as healthy fear, right? That maybe we haven't done enough. And that's a good fear to have. Also, maybe robots are coming for our job and I need to get more education. That can be a healthy fear to have. But you know these people that wake up every day afraid they haven't done enough, only to look in the rearview mirror and realize that time was the one thing they didn't think enough about.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing, right? Father time comes for us all. Is that what they say? Yeah, death and
I like that. I like what Alua Arthur said. She's like, I don't like to use the term terminal because we're all terminal. None of us get out of here alive.
Yeah, not yet anyway.
Unless you eat yogurt.
Maybe with the Neuralink, maybe we'll get that. The little brain cryogenics where we freeze ourselves and come back later.
I didn't see that on the 2025 tech list on Monday. That was disappointing.
Yeah. Oh, well. I don't know. I think it's good to have a healthy balance here, but I do talk to a lot of people that stress about the minutia, but not the big picture. It's like the big picture says, I've got a bunch of money, right? I've got X dollars and you can run it through 50,000 different calculations and whatever scenario you want to do, and you're still good, right? And then it's like, man, should I buy the condo close to my kids or not? I don't know. It's going to be, the payment's $1,500 a month, and that seems like a lot of money. And it's like, hold on a second. We just did this whole big thing that showed there's no chance of blowing up your plan, and you want to tweak this like one little teeny tiny thing. and that's the thing that's holding you back, go hang out with your kids. Go do the vacation. Go, I don't know. Tomorrow's not promised to everybody.
Is this where the numbers help, OG? Like seriously, you talked about, we just did this plan. I mean, it's not going to help everybody, but for a lot of us, is it just, instead of using these rules of thumb, maybe we get our hands on some numbers that go, oh, I probably could take my foot off the gas pedal and I'm going to be okay. Like I will have enough.
I think that the value of advisors is not necessarily in like, do this one thing to be successful. You know, we've obviously talked to thousands of people over the last 15, 16 years of us doing this. And it's like, you know, there's plenty of people who are successful being entrepreneurs. There's plenty of people who are successful owning real estate. There's plenty of people who are successful that buy stock, that, you know, there's like thousands of ways to be financially successful, whatever that means to you. But I think that our job is not necessarily to say, well, this is the only way, this is the only solution that works, but rather to make sure that you as the individual, or you and your team or your spouse or whatever, you know, whatever your decision-making group looks like, has the information so that you can confidently make a good decision that's good for you. And so many times it's like, you see it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It's like, this is the only way to fund your kids' college, or this is the only way to be financially independent. And that's not true. But more to that, it's like, if you have the confidence in the data and you have the confidence in that you've seen what the dominoes look like as they fall beyond the first one or two that are easy to see, you know, that gives you the confidence to make the decisions that are appropriate for what's going on in your life right then. And I think that's what we really try to strive to do, is to say, like, there is no right solution here, but here's what the secondary effects of this information does or is. And then with that, you can make that, should we move across the country and be close to our kids' decision? Because you've seen the whole thing. You've seen the forecast of all the effects.
You know, the value for me, OG, isn't so much the calculation, while that I do think that's valuable. What really worked well for me and Cheryl was having it not be me and Cheryl telling us that. When you have a third party who's telling you, no, it's going to be okay. Somebody who's done this over and over. Obviously, there's some great calculators out there. One of our most popular videos is the new retirement calculator, which is now the Bolden calculator. And that's a wonderful calculator. So a lot of our smart stackers can go use the calculator and you'll do that. But man, just having somebody sit across, and I felt like this when I was a planner too, just the fact that I was telling them as an outsider who's not emotional, that no, you're going to be all right. It's going to be fine. Like that was the value for me.
Yeah. And ultimately in this guy's case here about like working too hard and stuff like that, I read this piece over the holiday. You know, one of the things he says later on is he regrets not spending the money to hire an assistant so he didn't have to be on call the whole time, because he felt obligated to be on call for his patients, for his clients, which as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, you have that sensation of like, these people rely on me, so I need to be around. But it's a little bit of a psychosis, I think, right? Of like, I'm so important that I can't go anywhere. Maybe, is there a little bit of that? A little,
yeah.
No, I better be around here. I don't know that anybody else can do this as good as me. I'm pretty important. You know, I'm a pretty important guy. I don't know if you know that or not. So I'm going to demonstrate my importance by not going on vacation or not doing these things. I don't know what the word for that is, but it's a little self-aggrandizing. Is that a good?
Well, in some ways,
it's giving me the nod. Okay. All right.
It is your ego. I mean, it's your ego, and it's also your comfort level, right? Feeling like you're a person of importance. I feel like there's a lot of internal stuff going on there, which is why I think tactically setting up at the beginning of the year, these are the big rock things I'm going to do that, well, before I even get to that, realizing that your career's a marathon, not a sprint. And I feel like sprint means burnout. And we end up in these jobs that we might love. It isn't easy to find a job you love, but even with the job you love, after a while, you just need a break. Like from anything, you need a break. And so taking that break, I remember we had Laura Vanderkam on, who's studied all kinds of time management. And she says it takes roughly 7 to 10 days before you completely recharge that battery on a vacation. If you can do that once a year, if you're lucky enough to be able to do that once a year, that's phenomenal. But setting those big milestones about things that you want to do along the way every year to enjoy, means you're not going to look back, I think, with regret. You can still work the long hour. You know what I mean? On one hand, you can still work the long hours. On the other hand, go, but I still took the trip. I still, took the kids to Cedar Point, or your analogy always Disney, or whatever it might be.
How many people do you know that I just had this happen to me today, as a matter of fact. I sent an email to somebody and I got the bounce back email. Hey, I'm on holiday. I'm not coming back until the 7th or whatever day it was. I won't be checking my email to the 8th. Okay, fine. And then I got a reply. Hey, thanks for sending that.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I wanted to like jump through my computer and like strangle the person. Like, what are you doing? You're on the last day. And I get it. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but there's a little separation anxiety that happens. Like the first couple of days of like vacation or time off, you're like, whew, that's awesome. And then like as time goes on, you're like, I wonder what's happening in my email, and it takes like strong intestinal fortitude not to look at it. And then the day before you're coming back, you're like, well, I could probably get a head start, right? I could, I can look. But let me tell you a little secret about messages. Nobody sends emails on Sunday afternoons that are good. They all start with, I've been thinking, there's nothing good that comes after I've been thinking for 2 straight days, So all you do by checking your email on Sunday night before you go back to work to get ahead of the day is ruin your Sunday night. Just because you found the email that your boss sent late. You found the client email that they sent over the weekend. You found the product that's been unreliable for the last 3 days and people are complaining about it. Like you're basically setting up Sunday night for failure, which, by the way, you're probably not going to do anything about. You're going to look at and go, well, that sucks. Now my whole Monday's shot.
Yes.
Because I'm going to have to deal with this problem. And all you're going to do is stew on that for 7 hours.
Well, we said Anthony O'Neill on Monday talking about sitting at the head of your table. Now, whose table are you sitting at the head of Monday morning, first thing you get to work? Whoever that person is, you're sitting they're sitting at the head of their table and you're working for them. Because I do like what Vanderkam said, and I'll link to both of her appearances on the show, or maybe she was even on 3 times. But I love what she said about Sunday night, doing the stuff, though, that is the stuff that moves your ball forward. Like, forget about the email. Don't do anything reactive, but getting your to-do list down and putting yourself at the head of that table, like Anthony said, and doing the stuff that's going to advance the ball. Because then you come in Monday morning and you're just roaring. But man, if I'm coming in Monday and I'm putting out the fire I found out about Sunday night, not always Monday ruined, my whole week's ruined. That's it.
Or if you come in Monday and all of those things that OG just described are waiting for you, at least you'll have the comfort of knowing I did some stuff that advances my own goals, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just, violently agreeing with both of you.
I just don't think that, except for the very few of us, and not us, because we don't have any of this stuff, but very few people have such important work that absolutely is critical that it gets done in the manner in which it gets done in the time in which it gets done, right? Like the guy who's in charge of like the nuclear launch codes or whatever, like he got a pretty important job. If he gets a phone call at 6 a.m., he should probably answer the call.
Pretty sure he's a stacker.
Well, of course he is. But heart surgeon, that dude gets a call at 2 a.m. on a Saturday on his day off. You're going to go fix somebody's heart. Like that's, he can't be like, well, I'm on 3 days until Monday. Email me the problem and I'll check it out on Monday morning when I get on my drive in. They got stuff to do. But for the vast majority of people, butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers, you are subjecting yourself. I love that, Joe. You're subjecting yourself to other people's priorities when you're reacting to the chaos of other people's lives. Do you remember, what was it, 2 episodes ago, you mentioned the 1 Minute Manager book? What did you?
Who Moved My Cheese, which is part of that series.
Who Moved My Cheese? Okay. Yeah, same
Spencer
guy.
Johnson.
Yeah. So do you remember the book, The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey? Do you remember that one?
I love that book. That might have been my favorite book in the entire series.
The Monkey. Doug, do you remember the 1 Minute Manager?
No, I don't know
Meets
that
the
one.
Monkey?
I still refer to the monkey all the time.
The monkey, yes. It's like Herbie from The Goal. It's basically the concept is that people come into your office and go, hey, I've got this problem. And they take the monkey off of their back and they throw it to you. And then they run out. And now you've got their monkey.
Well, and it's even a little more than that, OG, because in your example there, you're not taking responsibility as the manager, because what the person actually says is they walk into the office and they go, we have a problem.
Yeah, we have a problem.
Immediately strapping one arm of the monkey over you. The two of us have a problem. And the first thing they teach you in that book that a good manager does is says, no, you have a problem, throws back the monkey on their back. But what most of us do as managers, and I've certainly done it 1,000 times, is you go, okay, I'll take care of the problem. and then the person leaves. So the person comes and says, we have a problem. Then the manager goes, I'll take care of it. Got it. And the person walks out. Mission accomplished. I don't have a problem anymore. My manager
I don't
does.
have a problem anymore. Yeah. And so you're working on other people's priorities all the time instead of yours, like what you said there.
Yeah. Yeah. This piece really dives into some people's, quite a few people's stories, but I want to stick with this guy, Mr. Winston, and his veterinary clinics, because
Dr. Winston to you, sir.
Something early. Well, I don't know if he owns them and manages them or if he's actually a doctor. It doesn't say in here anywhere that he's actually the doctor.
Well, we'll call him Dr. Mister just to be safe.
We will. Dr.
Mr.
Winston.
Mr. Doctor.
What I want to point out here, well, let me read the piece and then I'll point it out. Winston, who lives in Arizona, spent much of his career in veterinary work. Throughout his life, he drove modest vehicles, lived in an upper middle class house, and was cautious about making larger purchases. He retired with about $3 million, but wished he'd spent some of that money on an assistant for his practice so he wouldn't need to work nights running an emergency vet helpline.
Yeah, what I was talking about.
One of the only places I got pushback about Hormozi was somebody said that Alex Hormozi was talking about making money, but we need to talk about how we spend money too, which we did then later on with Jen and Jill. But Hormozi said something, OG, really important during that interview, which is exactly what Winston's dealing with here. Remember how he said that part of knowing what your one thing is and what your true focus is knowing exactly how to spend money as well. He didn't spend a ton of time there, but he did dig into a little bit. If you go back and listen, you need to know how to spend money. And you said, I remember during our discussion about that interview, that's an investment, right? It's an investment because it's going to pay you back. Winston, in this case, had he been more open to spending money, man, that investment would have paid so many life dividends to just get an assistant.
Well, again, it sounds, back to the value of your time, it sounds really silly to say that you have to try to get rid of all of the $10 tasks if you want to do $20 work, or get rid of the $20 work if you're trying to do the $50 work. And that can be extreme. I've also seen really obnoxious pieces about people who say like, oh, well, going grocery shopping is a waste of my time because that's a $10 an hour task. And it's like, okay. So
we were there the year at FinCon where there was one of the YouTube influencers there walking around with an entourage of like 8 assistants. Like it was stupid.
Yeah. It's like the person who's like, hold on a second, I can find the fund that's 0.02 instead of 0.03. Right. Ha ha ha, I win. Like, okay, all right. Meanwhile, I'm not saving enough, but it saved a penny per thousand on costs. But so you can kind of abuse that. But at some level, what Alex is talking about, what Winston's talking about here too, is I think about all the time and goodwill that he would have created with his own circle of people, whether that was his family or his other, extended community or church family or whatever. If he would have said, well, I'm going to invest $20,000 or $50,000 a year into this employee who can triage 90% of this stuff along the way. Plus, you and I know this from our strategic coach work. The other piece that happens, and this is just really hard for people to believe before they do it, is that it frees up your mental capacity to solve bigger problems. If you're looking at your career and you're saying, I want to be in charge of bigger issues, I want to solve bigger problems, because solving bigger problems generally means you're in charge of more stuff, which generally means you make more money, which kind of advances your career, right? That's problem solvers. If you want to do that, you have to be in a creative space to be able to think about solutions. You just simply can't be doing the monkey manager thing, like putting out fires every single day and still have the mental bandwidth to tackle the big problems that are going on in your organization, your career, whatever it is. So there is some truth to saying, I need to invest in these people who are capable and able to solve these other problems so that I'm freed up to solve bigger problems. And it's really hard, especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to like sign off on that, because sometimes we look at those numbers as expenses, right? It's like every $50,000 I give to an employee is $50,000 that's not coming to me.
And that's exactly what he was thinking. But listen to your point, OG, to the life he was giving away. This is from Mr. Dr. Winston. He says, that sucked up a lot of oxygen in my life. I could never watch a movie when I went out with my wife because I would get a dozen phone calls, Winston said, though he acknowledged the helpline helped make his practice successful. What was his success also became his anchor because he didn't have people to help him with it. Imagine being married to that person. I mean, trying to go to a movie with them or go out to dinner and they're constantly walking away from the table or walking out of the movie theater because they've got to take yet another call. And people you love not getting the piece of you that they truly want. I will link to this in the show notes. I love the piece about having somebody else tell you that it's okay, verifying that. First of all, I like using a calculator versus the rule of thumb. That's number one. More granular you can get about your numbers, the easier it's going to be. Number two is if you still don't believe it, have somebody else tell you, look at your stuff and tell you, somebody that's been there, knows what they're doing, that you know what, you can do this and it's still going to be okay. And then I like the idea of scheduling ahead of time those big rocks that are outside of work. What are the vacations I'm going to take this year? What are the thing? And then make those, to your point, OG, make them off limits. Don't return emails during that vacation, which I know is hard. It's incredibly hard. Strategic Coach had us take free days, and free days are brutal. Like it's often so hard. I'm not going to look at it. I'll just look at it just a little bit. Very difficult.
Yeah. It's taken me a long time to get to the point where I feel comfortable not having email on my phone.
It's so hard.
But 20 years ago, we didn't have email on our phone. So
I know, right?
Did okay
Isn't
then.
that funny? What did we do then? How did we make it through vacation without
We had to go all the way back to the office to...
Remember doing that on your vacation? Oh, wait, that never happened.
Well, I was going to say, I do remember one time. I have a funny story about that. Maybe later.
Time for our TikTok Minute. This is the part of the show where we shine a light on a TikTok creator who's either doing something brilliant or air quotes brilliant. Doug, this one, do you think we're going to hear brilliance or air quotes brilliance?
I know what this one is.
Oh, I shouldn't have asked you. You gave this to me.
Because I sent this in.
Probably brilliant.
Yeah, if I sent it.
And this is not, as you know, a TikTok creator. It was presented on one of the social media pages, but this is a clip from comedian Nate Bargatze's recent Netflix special, which you saw the whole thing and said
I watched the whole thing.
It was good, not great.
Yeah, I mean, look, above average by most stand-up comedians standards, but not his best stuff.
This is pretty damn good, though, the piece that you sent me. And I think a lot of our stacker community is going to feel maligned by this guy because listen to this heresy.
Heresy.
She's the cheaper one of us as well. Not in a bad way, you know. She likes the lights being off. Turn the lights off. So the lights off. It's a fun time being in that environment. Turn the light on, find your seat, get a stick, knock the light back off. Sit in the dark and be sad. And just be sad all day. But you're saving nickels upon nickels. Right when I get in bed, you turn that light off, I can't tell that's on. Well, get out of bed, turn it off. 80 years, we'll give our daughter $37 from all the nickels we saved.
We'll give my daughter the $37 we saved of 80 years of doing this. What an inheritance that would be.
He's done a great job of leaning into his personality, I think.
Yeah, it's 100% delivery for him. It's 92% delivery, but
it's also a great commentary on the stuff we've been talking about. Leading with purpose. Is your purpose really the lights? Although I do have to say, Cheryl must have been channeling his wife last night because she's like, oh, we still, by the way, our Christmas trees are coming down this week. They're coming down this week. But she's like, I see a light in
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I see a light in the other room. Did you leave the Christmas tree on? You got to turn the Christmas tree off. I'm like, number one, why do I have to turn the Christmas tree off? And she doesn't have to turn the Christmas tree off. Because I remember, if we want to replay the tape, if we want to replay, and I throw the challenge flag, which I would never do because I'm not going to win the challenge, whether I'm right or wrong. But if I did throw it, we rewound the tape. I didn't even plug in the tree. I had no business around that tree. So of course I go out in the other room. You know what it was? We had a very strong moon last night. And you could see the moon coming in the window of the
adjoining it was your responsibility to go check on the moon.
Yes. To make sure that...
Did you put the toilet seat down? Why are we the ones who have to put the toilet seat down?
You don't see us going, did you put the toilet seat up?
Yes. Let's start that movement. We're starting that right here.
Get one of these, Joe. You're about that age.
Oh, coming up next, we're going to take a call from a stacker who needs some help from us. Allison needs some help, guys. But before that, Doug, I think you've got today's amazing trivia question.
Allison. I just want to sing that song, Allison. All right, hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and this week, back in 1974, the iconic show Happy Days was born, starring one Ron Howard, who later went on to direct some of the most iconic films of all time. You know what? Now that I think about it, Ron and I have a ton in common. That's right, he directed Apollo 13, and there was that time I told Joe's mom, Houston, we have a problem, when I melted her crock pot trying to make Apollo brownies. Nailed it. And remember Howard's A Beautiful Mind? Yeah, I got one of those. Just ask me about my strategy for finding the perfect parking spot at Walmart. It's brilliant. Speaking of brilliance, here's a brilliant question for today's trivia challenge. What iconic TV show featured a young, fresh, on the road to stacking lots of Benjamins Ron Howard in a town called Mayberry? I'll be back right after I call NASA to see if they need a backup crockpot operator for their next Apollo mission. I think I got what it takes.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Mayberry historian and amateur kitchen fire starter. John's mom? Who the hell's John?
Could be John's mom, too. We don't know.
Maybe my neighbor on the other side. John's mom, neighbor Doug. I can't stop amazing myself about how much director Ron Howard and I are alike.
Oh, you're so alike.
We are. I mean, take his film, The Da Vinci Code. I once solved a mystery involving Joe's mom's secret stash of Oreos. Spoiler, was hidden behind the hot water heater. Tom Hanks ain't got nothing on me. And how about Backdraft? Oh, I'm all over that. I single-handedly saved Joe's mom's basement from a fiery disaster when I accidentally set the toaster on turbo mode. It smells like heroism and a little bit like burnt Pop-Tarts, but hey, disaster averted. But today's question was this: what TV series launched Howard's career when he played a young boy in a fictional town called Mayberry? The answer? It was on the Andy Griffith Show that we first met Ron Howard. Did you get it right? Go and whistle that Andy Griffith theme song while pretending your snowblower is the squad car. Bonus points. Nobody does that. Bonus points if your neighbors join in. Mine never do, but never say never, stackers. And now, back to two guys, one of which I think just backdrafted, Joe and OG.
Oh, boy. Got to have the fart joke right at the end of that. It's amazing to see how many great movies Ron Howard has written. But Mayberry, if you're not like 180 years old, I think a lot of people don't know what that is. But the second you start whistling that, Doug, I think even the youngest among us go, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
People are going to be swearing at me all day long now because that is stuck in your head.
It's an annoying earworm, that theme. All right, enough of that.
I'm going to do that just quietly in the background.
Do not do that. Please, God, do not do that. Just to distract Doug, it's time for us to answer a call from a stacker who said, you know what, we better call Saul, C-High, and OG. And if you've got a call, by the way, and you'd like help from us, it's stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail. Head to that link, and it's very easy. You'll just press the recorder button, and on whatever device you're on, your phone, your computer, just start talking, and it will record your question for us. And somebody who demonstrated that today for all of our stackers is our new friend, Allison. Hey, Allison.
Hi, Joe, OG, and neighbor Doug. This is Allison from California. I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. I was listening to your show the other day, and you made a comment about how the Consumer Price Index doesn't account for inflation on food and other basic necessities. My question is, if we're planning our retirement based on an assumption of inflation based on the CPI, how would I be able to comfortably retire with possibly experiencing 10 to 20% increases on basic necessities annually? Thanks for answering. See ya. By the way, I'm a women's schmedium.
Thanks, Allison, for that. And you know what? I don't want to get back into the CPI stuff again, but inflation, OG, and what measure to use for inflation and to understand how inflation is going to impact you, I think is an important and fair question that all of our stackers need to know.
Yeah, it's a good question around inflation, and there's a lot of different definitions of that. On the government website, BLS website, you can get inflation that is just for energy or just for food or excluding food and energy, which is what they call core inflation. Or, there's all these different variations of it. You've got to pick a number. I think it's fair to use the historical kind of 30-year number and maybe round up a little bit. But it's also probably a good idea from a planning standpoint to model out different scenarios of higher inflation. Like, what if the last 30 years has been, let's say, 3%? What if it is 3.5% or 4% for the next 30 years? And see what that does to your plan. I think financial planning is more about the activity of the thinking exercise of what do we do if, than it is going, this is the only solution. Because the reality is that inflation may be 4% for the whole 30 years, or it might be 2.5% for the next 30 years. Nobody really knows until it's been 30 years, right? But the exercise of thinking about what are we going to do were this to be the case? What are the decision points in terms of our guardrails or our glide path of retirement? When are we going to have to make a decision if our portfolio behaves in this manner? And it's the same thing you would do if you were looking at, hey, I think my portfolio is going to grow at 7% a year, but what if it does 6? I think my portfolio is going to grow at 8. What if it does 7? You put these different scenarios in there to stress test it, right? That's basically what you're doing, is stress testing it. So I think it's a good exercise to stress test all components of your plan, not just an inflation number, but all pieces. I mean, what happens if Social Security is half as much as you forecast it to be? What if they change the retirement age to 70 instead of 67? I mean, these are all things that you can model out in your analysis, and hopefully that you kind of come to a consensus of like, okay, I'm good under most of these circumstances, but if these 4 happen, then I know I'm going to have to make a change, right? Like, where's the breaking point? And that's really how I think about stress testing, is when do I have to really be worried about this?
We call these in the business, I like the phrase stress testing, but we often call them what if scenarios. What if this happens? What if? And I really like that way of thinking, because you then get into the whole what if game, which I think, going back to our headline today, OG, just imagine if Dr. Mr. Winston had done some of this. What if I hired the assistant and I paid out the X amount of money? Where would I end up then? Can I really afford to take that time off? And not only that, if he says, what if I hired the assistant as a entrepreneur or as, a manager running these veterinary clinics, he then also says, well, if I do, then I'm also going to have to train them on almost, like, when you start opening your brain to these what ifs, then you begin to find a much stronger plan. But if Mr. Dr. Winston was able to, what if, yeah, I can hire the assistant. Yes, I can afford that. And if inflation goes up and I'm okay, well then, I can safely make it through the movie without taking 5 phone calls. I'm going to be okay.
Right. Yeah, we look at these what if scenarios or these stress tests as like all these different levers and how many of them have to go against you before you have to do anything. Right. So you go, I think my plan's going to grow at 7%. Well, what if it does 6? Okay, we're still good. What if it does 5? Okay, we're still good. All right. So that really isn't a stressor. What if Social Security gets cut in half? Okay, I'm still good. What if my portfolio grows at 6 and Social Security gets cut at half? Issue. So now like, okay, if both of those things happen, you're going to have to kind of get back into the plan and start making some adjustments along the way. So I think it's good to do all of these things, including, to your point, Joe, what if I live to be 100 and what if I die at 72?
Right. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
But is there, I'm just going to challenge a little bit. I think I know the answer that you're going to say, but is there a simple answer for her? Is there a simple answer to say, don't use the CPI, use this number? Or do we have to have multiple what if scenarios?
I don't think
I should have one default one, right?
I don't think that's the point. And the reason I don't think so, Doug, and the reason I'll challenge your challenge, how about that? Is that the government...
No take backs.
Well, the government number doesn't matter. What matters is what happened with you. OG and I both have talked about our love of Monarch Money. I think that's, I'm so happy that they sponsor the show because we both have been in love with that product for a long time. But no matter what you use, this is part of the upside of modeling what things have cost for you, because then you can see the true CPI doesn't matter as much as your personal inflation rate. What rate of inflation have I had in my life? And if I can look at what happened to me last year and then look at what happened to me this year. Now, I just saw Doug go, oh, that sounds hard.
Dude, you just put on a huge amount of work on my plate. I have spreadsheets for everything in my life, but I'm not measuring the inflation of my certain categories of spending.
It truly isn't. It's super easy to see what inflation has been in your life. It might not be today. And if you're like, no, it isn't, Joe. And the reason it isn't is because you haven't started tracking your expenses. So sure, you might not be able to do it this year, but doing it next year, not that hard. Not that hard at all. And I think that number is far more valuable than some government statistic about what it is for the person down the road and the person living in another city. The cost of living in Texarkana versus the cost of living in New York City, 2 totally different things.
Texarkana is higher.
By far.
To your point, Doug, I almost think about this like, what's the phrase from accounting class? What is it called when you look at it as a percentage of the overall total? Do you guys remember that from accounting? I don't remember. But anyways, your income is 100%, 100, and then your gross margin is this, and, it's whatever. Anyway, there's a phrase for it. So, you don't have to keep track of all your expenses, Doug. You could just say, here's how much money I made. Here's how much money I paid in taxes. Here's how much money I saved. Here's how much money I spent. And then next year, do that same calculation. Here's how much money I paid in taxes. That's easily findable. Here's how much money I put in my 401k. Easily findable. Here's how much money I spent. Easily deduced by subtracting those other ones, right? And now you say, well, last year my percentage of my income was 46% that I did on expenses, and now it's 47%. What's the delta between those two, and what's the rate of change? You can see, assuming that, accounting for one-off type things, right? You say, well, last year I went to Scotland. Okay, well, take that out, except for the fact that every year you're going to do something like that. You know what I mean? You may not go to Scotland every year, but I bet you have a fun experience with your kids. Or if you don't do it this year, you do it twice next year. You know what I mean? Like kind of all evens out. So you don't have to track every expense, but you can take out the known knowns and solve for the rest. That might be a way to do it.
All right, I will allow that answer.
Okay, thank you. And the other piece of this too.
Well, I think there's a bigger framework. Before you get to the other piece here, OG, the bigger framework is this. I feel like when you use rules of thumb and you use these big global numbers, the more you can get into what it is that you're doing and what you want, the more reliable your plan's going to be. And this is really, I think, the heart of Allison's question is how to make my number reliable. Well, track you. Stop tracking the government. Stop tracking other people. Track yourself, and it's going to be a much more reliable position. OG?
Well, I was just going to say this dovetails into why you absolutely need to continue investing in things that are going to rise and grow with the economy throughout your retirement. And this idea of being conservative when you get to retirement is so full of crap, because we all recognize that expenses are going to go up, and in recent years they've gone up a lot in periods of time, and so we feel this concept of inflation now where we hadn't before. But if you don't have your money in a place that's outpacing that, you're not going to be able to keep up with it. And the only thing that outpaces inflation is the ownership of the biggest companies in the world. Lending to them doesn't work. Putting your money in a savings account doesn't work, although you need to have money in a savings account for emergencies, but you're losing purchasing power. And this is a very real example of how that can affect you in a short period of time. If you look at just your regular income, I make $100,000 and inflation's higher this year, I feel squeezed, right? I just read an article the other day about federal employees got a 2% pay raise and their health insurance went up like 17%. So the average federal employee has a net lower paycheck this year than last because their healthcare costs went up more than their pay raise did. So they actually got a net, imagine that happens every single year. If you have a fixed income, if you have an income that's like, okay, I've got this $100,000 and I've got this margin of safety right now, every year that's going to get more and more compressed. You need to find a solution in your retirement through your retirement earnings that income isn't going to be fixed. It's going to continue to grow with the economy, because when you have inflation, that manifests itself in profitability to companies. Like again, back to my thing from a week ago of like, everybody's in it for themselves. Do you think Coke goes, well, sugar went up. I guess we take it on the chin this quarter, guys.
We're screwed.
They go, Coke's an extra quarter. Like, they just raised the price, except for the guy from Arizona Tea. He's like, whatever, I'm good. But
well, we all accept it because for Coke, you go, well, it's logical. It's the smart thing for them to do.
Yeah. And so why wouldn't you want to be an owner of that? If you were an owner of a business and you made soda and all of a sudden your cost of aluminum and sugar went up and syrup and water, you'd be like, well, guys, we can't sell this thing for $1 anymore. We got to sell it for $1.10.
Hold on. There's aluminum in Coke?
Yes, there's tons of them. There's Coke and Coke. Woo-hoo!
I love that TikTok minute we did a while ago about the preacher who was standing in front of a bunch of people saying, all of you are wearing, you're wearing Nike, you've got Coach bags, you've got all this, you're wearing these brands and these keep going up and up and up in price. Wouldn't it be better if you own those companies? Because they go up and up and up in price instead of you walking around thinking you're cool because you are sporting the logo. Instead, you are the person making cash out of all these people sporting the logo. Pretty badass.
I have a fun exercise that I'm working on right now. I just have to figure out the program because I'm not going to do it by hand. Several weeks ago, Doug and I were doing the how much did you spend on Amazon download
last week.
And we have our numbers. I'm going to figure out how to do this. I'm going to buy Amazon stock with every Amazon purchase I did over the last 20 years instead, just to see the impact of, the latte factor, as it were, which I know is going to be mind melting in terms of dollar amounts. Nevertheless, not like you could go without all those things, but I'm sure you could have gone.
So hold on. So Amazon right now is at 221. So every time you buy something on Amazon, are you buying a share of Amazon?
No. I'm saying instead of spending the money on Amazon, if I would have said, I don't need that, and I spent $11.19 that day, what would that have bought me in Amazon stock that day?
Buying the fractional shares.
Yeah. All the way from 2001 till present.
That's going to be an ugly number.
I think it's going to be a real ugly number. So because I spent $100,000 in the last 20 years on Amazon. So I'm no expert of Amazon stock, but I'm thinking that it's gone up in the last 20 years. And if I'd have put in $100,000, but the most of my spending has been recent relative.
In the last 5 years, it's gone up 134%.
Shut up, nerd.
Jeff Bezos sees OG in public and just refers to him as profit margin. Hey, Profit. How you doing?
What's up, PM?
All time, which is, 1997, you said 20 years, so shave a little bit off of this. All time, Amazon's gone up 255,000%.
Yeah.
Just owning the company.
Everybody knows this. It's going to be a pretty mind-boggling miss on my part.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be eye-opening of like, instead of doing this for the next 25 years, maybe
I'm going to change my ways.
I'm going to change my ways a little bit.
I think, Allison, this does one other thing too. Well, and for all of the rest of our Stacker family. And this, OG, improves your focus. We've talked a lot so far in 2025 about focus, but I think in two areas. Number one, on the news that you follow, there's so much incoming data. And I know a lot of people, and I remember me when I first got into the stock market, I'm like, yeah, CNBC's talking about all this data. What do I care about? Well, once I know where my threats are, right? When I know exactly what my numbers are and which ones could potentially sink my ship, I'm going to pay more attention to those and I'm going to tune out stuff that I don't care about. because you can't focus on everything. The closer you get to focusing on very few things and know what those drivers are, I think that's it. Number two, OG, to your point, it also focuses investment opportunities that I hear about, because I think too many of us spend time, and I see this in our numbers, right? When we've got a sexy title of a podcast episode, the numbers go up and the people listen to that. The number of people looking for the magic bullet increases. And instead, if you go, yeah, you know what? That's an opportunity, but it doesn't fit the profile of what I need to get that goal. Because I know that I'm looking at X inflation number. I know that my what if scenarios are, these are the threats that I have. I think being able to just focus and be able to say, you know what, that's a great investment opportunity. It's just not for me, is a wonderful place to be. Because I think Warren Buffett said it best. There's no such thing as a called strike in investing. A baseball analogy where, the umpire can call you out if you don't swing the bat. You never have to swing the bat at the wrong pitch when it comes to investments. You can certainly wait for the right thing.
Expanding my thinking on Amazon, what if every mortgage payment I make to Chase, I would have bought JP Morgan stock?
Now he's going to start thinking about it globally.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
We're going to end this episode pretty soon before OG pisses himself completely off. Or does his head explode?
I would be a gazillionaire, and Mama said we wouldn't have to worry about money no more.
What am I doing in my life? Lots of years of therapy. This segment was brought to you by BetterHelp. Good stuff. As always, we dive into all of these topics on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com, and also in the 201, our newsletter that comes out weekly. It's always free. stackingbenjamins.com/201 gets you to the 201 newsletter. Doug, out to the back porch just briefly. Philip in the basement, our Facebook group at stackingbenjamins.com/basement gets you there. It's a long URL to get there. Philip says that car commercial. One of you guys was talking about the song Days Go By. Somebody's talking about the song Days Go By. I was referring to the song that was in a bunch of car commercials. Philip showed the YouTube video. This YouTube video is so uncomfortable. It's a 2003 Mitsubishi commercial, and this woman's like in the passenger seat doing the robot dance. It looks so stupid. It looks so... And Tracy in the basement says, my family would give me so much stuff if I tried doing the robot in the car while wearing a beret, which is what this woman's doing. I can imagine Doug on a road trip. Those road trips, Doug, we used to take to upstate New York. You've been doing the robot in the passenger seat. If I would have done the robot in the passenger seat, you would have pulled over and I've been like, what? You've been like, get the hell out of my car.
And you were wearing a beret, so it would have worked.
I always wear a beret. It's my signature look.
20 years ago. God, yeah. Somebody posted recently, I'm just going to leave this here. The year 2000 was now 25 years ago.
Shut the front door.
That is that's just unnecessary violence when you post stuff like that.
Do not need to hear that from you at all. It's disgusting. Even bring it up. Great stuff. All right. I'm coming to Seattle, stackingbenjamins.com/retire-me. If you want to join our book club, I'm going through this so fast. If you want to hang out with me and a few other stackers and do a deep dive into your financial plan over 10 90-minute sessions, we're going to fire that up here in February. stackingbenjamins.com/book club for that. I believe that's the back porch. Doug.
Let's get out of here.
Slow it down for a second. Yeah. What things should be on our to-do list from today's show?
Well, Joe, I've got 3. First, take some advice from our headline. Saving is great, but so is enjoying today. Schedule time for those things that light you up along the way, not just for more overtime. Second, that light that's on, yeah, that might save you 37 cents, but come on, focus on the big things. Speaking of the big lesson, saving money is great until it means stumbling through the basement in the dark because OG turned off all the lights again. Turns out broken toes are not cheaper than electricity, man. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2025, and is created by Joe Saul Seahive. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
Oh, gee, I think my nephews are taking lessons from Steak Brother.
Oh, yeah?
3 of my nephews came down from Michigan, and these are guys that when I took them to a restaurant called Bubba's, which is new in Texarkana, it is a spinoff of Texas Roadhouse, locally owned along with Texas Roadhouse, right next door. It's a cool place.
Mid-level, like fast casual type.
Yeah, it's like a fun sports bar. Have you been to one, Doug?
Not Bubba's, but I know the type.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what it was. I ordered some onion rings, and my one nephew said, these onion rings are only slightly better than Applebee's. So that's the caliber restaurant my nephews like to eat at. However, one of my nephews just got out of the Navy, Cullen.
Hoorah.
I was super excited. We were taking them to Fort Worth, which, as you know, geez, just a badass town, just such a cool place. And it's their first time in Texas. Take them to the stockyards. And while we're there, because it was Colin's birthday and to celebrate that he was leaving the Navy, I took them to a place called Lonesome Dove Restaurant, which has a phenomenal chef and in TripAdvisor, my 2 favorite restaurants in Fort Worth. It says there's 2,000 restaurants in Fort Worth. They're rated number 7 and number 8. And this was number 8. So the other one I like is Riata, which I think, OG, you and I have been to Riata, haven't we? No? Oh, we got to go to Riata. Yeah, good stuff. But fun Western vibe, but also kind of a next tier place. Well, we go to the stockyards and then we open up the door to Lonesome Dove, and it's immediately dark. There's candles on the table. And my nephew, who made the comment about Applebee's, says, "Oh, romantic, Uncle Joe," because it's so dark with the candles. And we sit down, and I have to tell him right away, you don't sit with your elbows on the table. And he takes them off like he's really getting into it. We order differently than we ordered at Bubba's. We order for, there's all kinds of menus. At the end, she said, "I'm going to take the chargers out of the way in just a moment." Kids go, "What are the chargers?" I said, "Well, these plates they're going to take away." And again, that same nephew, really excited about it. One's in college. This is the one in high school who's asking all the questions. And my nephew coming out of the military is really having fun. He and I ordered a Manhattan called a Willie, which, Doug, I was explaining to you what a Willie was before. It's named after Willie Nelson.
Oh, it wasn't wet?
It was not. Yeah, that's the other one. No, that was that was not going to.
That was that special bathhouse you took them to before the steak.
Not going to occur on this trip. No.
You mean an exorcism?
That's right. But it's named after Willie Nelson, and it's smoked, so they have it smoking inside with the lid on and open it up right in front of us. And my nephew and I really had fun. I'd had this drink before. They also at Lonesome Dove, highly recommend this restaurant, by the way. It's not all, but a lot of it is wild game, bison, elk. We had rabbit.
Just wandering around between the tables.
Yeah, and then they shoot it in front of you. It's amazing.
You stun it. You kill it. You chop it.
Eat what you kill restaurant. That'd be wild. Everybody's chasing chicken around.
Sounds like Fort Worth. You said it was a badass town.
It totally, the Wild West, the old Wild West. Rattlesnake, rabbit sausage we had. So a lot of good stuff. But we're looking at the menu, and the high schooler, Ethan, says, "You know what? I think I'd like to get the elk ribeye." And he looked down at the bottom of the menu where it said $13.50. However, that is per ounce. It's hand cut, and there's a minimum of 10 ounces. But he doesn't see all that. I look up where it's a menu item, not hand cut, just made off the menu. It's $91. The next highest menu item is $65. And so I see that my nephew's going after the $91 thing. And I go, you know what? I'm not sure you're going to really like the bison that much. I think you'd actually
tried the rabbit stew.
I think you would like the beef tenderloin, I think you really would. And by the way, I wasn't being wrong. I think you would like it as much.
It's muskrat season.
I said to him, though, you're just like Nick, my son. It seems like every restaurant we went to, he would always pick, just like Steak Brother OG, he would pick the most expensive thing on the menu, right?
Oh, yeah.
Totally going to go after every single place we went. Nick, my son, would always go, oh, yeah, I want this. Why do you want that? What do you talk? Oh, So the rule with Nick, and I told my nephews this, I said, if you look at the rest of the menu and nothing else is going to make your day, and this is the only thing that will do it, well, then order it. I'm happy you guys are here, then order it. But look at the rest of the menu first. Cause man, look at this. It's great. So Colin, the oldest one, orders, he gets the ravioli, $38 for this elk ravioli. My nephew, Ethan, he orders the 8-ounce beef tenderloin for $65, or the 8-ounce. I order the 6-ounce for like $50. And then the middle one, Gavin, goes, I'll have the elk ribeye, the $91 thing that I just got done telling them you probably don't need to get. And as he's ordering it with a straight face, the high schooler on the other side of him puts his arm out and starts patting me on the back and says, it's going to be okay, Uncle Joe. Because I think you could see on my face, what the hell are you doing, man? What are you doing to me?
You brought this on yourself, though, because you prefaced it by saying, if that's the thing that's going to make your day and make you go, wow.
The question that I have is, did he eat the elk ribeye?
What's funny was he tasted Ethan, the youngest one's beef tenderloin. You know what he said?
That's really good.
I would have liked that better.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
For 2/3 the price, I would have liked that better.
Twisting the knife.
Yeah.
We went to this place for my birthday. Did we talk about this already?
No.
But we talked about the before. I want to hear the review after.
Oh, yeah. So we went to this place in Plano. It only has 7 tables.
That's right. We did talk the before.
You walk in, the guy's like, hey, I'm the owner, chef, the whole kitchen,
waiter, sommelier,
dishwasher.
Yeah. I mean, he was all those things. They had one other person working behind the bar and then one other server. Everything's family style, and your choice is strip or ribeye and F1 or F2 Wagyu. Those are your 2 choices. And it comes out on this huge platter. It's a giant 20-ounce steak. It's all cut up, and there is no, it's not cooked to your liking. It's cooked to whatever he wants to cook it at. So he's like, our steaks are cooked to 134 degrees. So
wow,
eat it.
Deal with it. Yeah.
Comes a couple sides, bread pudding. The wine was, he's like, do you want cab or are you a Pinot person? I said, oh, do you have a wine list? He goes, do you want cab or Pinot? I'm like, they just pour it. There's no bottle. There's no long discussion about it. It's just like, this is the wine we have. It goes with this meat. We picked it on purpose. You will love it.
Well, and the review?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I would 100% go back. I mean, I just love supporting like little businesses and also ones that are like ballsy enough to be like, this is what we do. You can have steak or steak. Would you like potatoes, or green beans? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, those are your choices. And for
red
dessert,
or red.
Well, you could get white. There was an option for white, but there weren't cocktails. I mean, maybe there were, but it was just like, here's your meal and get out of here. And it was the same price as going out to like a Del Frisco's or Three Forks or something like that. And it was 1,000 times better. I loved it. It was really good.
So what's the scene from Hell or High Water where the waitress says you want, what are the 2 options?
It's like that. What don't you want?
What are the 2 options?
Oh, for Hell or High Water or for
Hell or High Water?
Well, she says, what don't you want? That's how the scene starts.
Yeah,
She says, what don't you want? That is, for those curious, if you watch that scene, if you're curious what my grandmother sounded like, looked like, acted like, and was exactly the same personality and facial and everything features, that was central casting of OG's grandma.
We should find that clip.
In that, it was like seeing a flashback. It was crazy because that's how grandma was.
Howdy, ma'am. How you doing today?
Hot, and I don't mean the good kind. So what don't you want?
Pardon?
What don't you want?
Oh, well, I think I'll just,
You know, I've been working here for 44 years. Ain't nobody ever ordered nothing but T-bone steak and a baked potato. Except this one hole from New York tried to order trout back in 1987. We don't sell no damn trout. T-bone steaks. So either you don't want the corn on the cob or you don't want the green beans. So what don't you want?
I don't want green beans.
I don't want green beans either.
Steaks cooked medium rare.
Can I get my steak cooked just
That want no question.
All right.
Iced tea for you boys.
Iced tea be great.
Iced tea, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
And there you have it.